This is Morten from INKISH. As you have heard this a couple of times this week, I think actually I have 17 interviews this week, and I have got to a person that I actually look very much forward to talk to because I used to work for Xerox. So now it's very exciting to see what has happened since iGen 3 was launched, because that is how long time ago I worked for Xerox. So Andrew, welcome to INKISH.
Thank you very much. It's great to be here, Morten. I appreciate having me.
Always. Andrew, before we talk technology, tell me a little bit about what you do and your role, because before we turned on the recording, I appreciated your nice backdrop. So tell me a little bit what you do, because I can sense that you have a passion for good design and good print.
Well, you picked up pretty quickly on that. Obviously, some people say they like to wear their emotions on their sleeves. I say I like to wear what I do on the wall behind me. So, so I look after, my name's Andrew Gunn. I'm the director of product marketing here at Xerox globally. So my team, we look after all things production at Xerox. We have a vested interest, obviously, in a lot of our growth planks, like beyond CMYK and embellishments. Obviously inkjet is a big one, cut sheet inkjet, workflow. So I look after all those production disciplines, and I've got a team globally of resources, both in Americas as well as in EMEA, that serve the production platform. So, yeah.
And when I meet some of your colleagues from time to time, I was at a trade show in Finland just half a year ago.
That's the Nordic Sprint show, I think. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. And when I spoke to your colleague, the white-haired guy from
Kevin
the UK,
O'Donnell.
What is his name? Kevin
O'Donnell, yeah.
Just imagine I can forget his name, but I'm sorry, I'm just a little.
No, I'm here to help. So yeah, Kevin O'Donnell, great production champion over in UK and Nordics. He's a great good friend.
Definitely, but the reason why I mentioned him is just because he was talking to me in an interview about the added value of selling print with all the capabilities, and we spoke about that. You have the black piece of paper behind you is printed with a white ink on an iGen, and you have the extended gamuts and also the very nice, both the silver and the gold and the fluorescent colors from the iridescent on some of the things here. How important is that kind of work for Xerox to extend into the more value-added printing?
Well, I think that's a good question. And if I could, is it okay if I back up the question just a little bit? Because
100%.
one of the things that we look at is we look at roadblocks being everywhere that came from the pandemic, right? Like there's this global decrease in graphics, publications, and packaging, right? But revenue's declining, and then print service providers are stating that their top problem was maintaining or increasing sales out to the end of 2022. So there's disruption everywhere, right? So supply chain, inflation, labor shortages, we've all lived through that. But born from that opportunity, to your point, born from those roadblocks, is there's opportunities, right? And if you look at the global volumes of digital print, back in 2015, I think of all the trillions of pages printed in the world, I think like 5% were done digitally, right? But if we look out to the end of next year, that's growing to close to 15%. So that's doubling. However,
so sorry to interrupt you. So does that mean that basically when you look at all the whatever data is possible to achieve, you can see that the pandemic has not just grown a increased digital transformation in general, but you can also see that the page run on digital is increasing?
Yeah, absolutely. But here's the more important fact that I wanted to point out there. So yes, it's increasing, but it's the wallet share. So you're doubling up. You're going to almost 13% of those pages printed globally, but it's 43% of the 43% will be digital of that wallet share. So think about that. So to answer your question, and I'm sorry if I'm taking the scenic route, but to answer your question, what's driving that? So things like beyond CMYK, right, with close to 20% growth out to the end of this year, right? Things like personalization, right? So not just doing embellishments with all these great things, but making it easy, but also creating workflows that will make it easier. So if you don't have a designer, because the designer is very important, as you know, if you don't have that designer, using things like workflow to be able to drag and drop a file that's mono only and make it gold, silver, fluorescent pink, mixed metallic blue, whatever, making that transition easier. And I use the term democratizing embellishments or beyond CMYK or CMYK plus, whatever you want to call it, we have to make it easier. And one of the things that we've done is we want to support the industry by using things like the Genesis initiative here at Xerox, which is a program focused, and it's free for customers and designers, which is focused on designing, pricing, marketing, and most importantly, selling these embellishments to your customers, regardless of what discipline or industry you serve.
It's funny you mentioned that, because I remember years ago when I was working in an offset printing company, there was a time, and I think it was great, but I think it was maybe a little bit premature, because everybody was thinking about extending the gamut from 4-color to 6-color, right? Because of course it for the plate sellers it was great, and for the the people that really looks into the details, great, but you couldn't represent it. So basically you could not show them a digital version of the better quality. So I think it was very difficult. But here, basically, with the Iridesc technology, with the IGEN technology, you're basically able to say that, okay, let's make one copy and show you how it actually looks.
Exactly.
And at the same time, you give the designers a tool where they can basically represent their design, adding either the extended gamut or as spot colors within the design, right?
And that's the first thing. It's funny. So when you hand some of these amazing applications to a designer, right, the first thing they say is, that's amazing. And then they automatically say, how did you do it? Right. So one of the things when people say to me is, they come to me and they'll say, Andrew, how do we sell more embellishments? I'll say, it's simple. Get to the design community, start them early where they can design for it, and then move it on down the line. Right. But that's really where it starts, is at the design level.
It's funny because without jeopardizing your as a company's effort in this industry, of course, I think that some of your competitors have been focusing on applications maybe a little bit more than Xerox has in the past years. But when I have been at some of the latest shows, it seems that you're increasingly focusing on the applications, as you say, showing the technology on applications rather than talking just here's the technology.
Pretty pictures.
Do you get my point here?
Yeah, absolutely. I said, do you
get my point here?
Yeah, I do. And I think the point is for a long time, people would be focused on printing pretty pictures and, oh, look at this. But it's like, well, okay, that's not something tangible that I can sell. I want to be able to sell, point of sale, point of purchase, automotive, retail, real estate, food and beverage. Make it tangible, make it something real that they can sink their teeth into, and give them the tools to do it.
Another thing that I also find interesting in the space of Beyond CMYK is also I interviewed a Xerox Iridesc customer from Balkan just a year ago. Did some amazing work. He also participated in some Xerox event in Asia somewhere. You had
Zoltan. Yeah, Zoltan. He does some amazing. Yeah, I think he does some amazing things. Yeah.
Yeah, the reason I mentioned him and the reason I mentioned what he was doing and talking about is, I think that if we look at the entire space of digital print, and whether it's toner or inkjet, let's forget about that for a second, and then we talk about CMYK. I mean, everybody has said, okay, we want to have something that is offset-like, right? That was like the first goal, right? Yeah. Now the next goal was basically to have something that was, ISO standardized or G7 standardized, and that ended up that all the digital presses more or less looked like each other, right?
Yeah.
Now we're extending it with the fluorescent colors, with the gold, with the silver, with the white, with the embellishment, with the security, with the UV thing, all the things that you provide in your technology, and it basically, I think, to me, and I'm hopefully also to your customers, makes a lot of sense, because we end up with a package. Could be a magazine, it could be a box, it could be anything that basically has a higher value. So even though sometimes you see a drop in print runs, you may even make more money on it, right?
Well, yeah, and that's exactly to my point of, while the digital pages are less than, obviously offset, it's the wallet share that they drive based on exactly what you just said, is the fact that I can deliver a personalized mixed metallic gold, silver, whatever, piece of printed manufactured good, and it delivers more value. People will pay more for it. And by the way, I'm going to put something out there that's maybe a little controversial. It's better than offset, right? Digital.
It is, yeah.
Digital
Because
metallic.
I mean, gamut is wider, and you can print on more substrates
Yeah, so,
with the same kind of intensity.
So 20 years ago, we would talk about, well, we want to get as good as it. We want to get as good as Offset. It's like, well, now we're the lead player there, right? And I think that. I could go on about that, but I think that we do some in digital in general, not just us, but I think digital has surpassed what the flexibility that you can do with metallics. Because think about it, metallics on digital, what are you not struggling with? You're not struggling with viscosity issues with ink, right? It drives, if you've got a screen going from a 2% bleed to a 50%, gold, that's easy to do on digital. On Offset, it's a little more difficult, right? So, long conversation we could have about that.
Maybe you and I should make a marketing campaign for one of the Offset guys and say you should aim for having the same quality as digital.
I like it. I like it. I like it. Think beyond CMYK with digital.
Precisely, yeah. Okay, that's great. Okay, so technology-wise, you have, of course, the Irides, you have the Baltoro, you have the Igen, then you have a range of monochrome machines, and then you have a lot of office equipment that I don't know.
Well, and then you skipped over the whole EPC market, which is the entry production market, which is our Versant 280, our Versant 4100. Also, just a little bit below it, there's the Prime Link, which again sits below Versant, and it's got the ability to do beyond CMYK capabilities as well. So, yeah, we truly try to democratize beyond CMYK.
What machines were? What was the machines that you mentioned in the last? Was you said the 280 or what did you say?
There's the Versant 280, which has got the capabilities to do beyond CMYK embellishments with the adaptive kits, so fluorescents and golds and whites. But there's also sitting below that in the portfolio, there's Prime Link, which is what's called EPC low, entry production color low. And in that space, you can put on those adaptive kits for fluorescence and white and metallics. So you'll hear me use the term democratize beyond CMYK. We need to make it available to everybody's, price point.
And that was exactly because I'm sorry that I didn't know about this, but basically I like that because it's not just adding beyond CMYK to existing lines. It's also like something that you will bring to a broader market with a broader range of machines in order to make sure that you can bring this added value to all the segments of your customers.
Precisely, and that's the thing. So if a customer went out and bought a 280, guess what? We're allowing them to protect that investment by not going out and buying a whole new product, but buying the kit that they can just add on to their existing product that they already got. So, as we say, allow them to sweat the asset a little bit more. Yeah.
That's nice. With all the technology available in the market and also the software side you mentioned just about how to help the designers and the customers to utilize the beyond CMYK. Where do you see the Xerox portfolio and software and all the things that brings that value to your customers? Where do you see it going in the short coming years?
That's a really good question. So, right now you've got a lot of rules-based automation, right? Which we're all familiar with it. If this, then that. I think where you're going to see a shift to on the Xerox side is getting into more predictive type workflows based on what we call AAAI, advanced analytics, but more importantly, artificial intelligence, right? And so that's cloud-sourced capabilities where I can now smartly say, I've got this beyond CMYK embellishment file that I need to print. It will look out based on workflow, the capabilities, and based on algorithms of what time of day, and it will direct it towards the right device, but it'll also make the right color lay down in the file for you. So it's that predictive workflows using artificial intelligence that not just we, but the industry as a whole, we are, I think we're obligated to go towards. And again, because as you have labor moving out of the market, people retiring, you need to build in that automation. And automation is more than a buzzword. It's got to be the bedrock for everything we do. So yeah, does that answer your question?
Yeah, and it fuels more questions because I remember back from the Park Innovation Center where you were like where Xerox was like, innovating groundbreaking technology, and I mean when I hear you say AI and predictive in the workflow and all the things that you just mentioned, I just think that to me that sounds a little bit beyond what we think of automation of today. It may have components that have some kind of AI, but to the extent that you talk about seems a little bit far out in the time, but you mean it's coming relatively soon, or is it something that you're already working on as a series?
Yeah, sorry, not to jump ahead, but yeah, I mean, some of the stuff we're going to be showing at Hunkeler Innovationdays here in Lucerne in about 3 weeks. Gosh, it's coming fast. We will be showing that as follow on to some of our free flow products. We're taking that next leap of automating the automation even. There, I think I just created a saying. So,
yeah, you do that. I mean, we make a lot of good things here today, right? Creating new formulas for marketing. And,
exactly.
Super great. Okay, fantastic. That of course seems something that is giving Xerox customer a huge advantage, because I mean, having, as you say, automating the automation basically means that you can extend your productivity, even though that you have labor shortage, because basically the machine takes over a little bit more of what you maybe need hands for, right?
Because exactly. I mean, the fact remains that, you know, for every $1 spent on print, there's still $3 of non-related print activity that go into a job. Yes, we've heard that for a long time, but it still rings true. So.
And we're going to talk about Innovation Days in a second, but it just caught my attention a little bit, because I mean, when I worked for Xerox many years ago, you had these accelerator kits where you were like, you know, giving ideas to customers how to basically make more money off the machines and like that. Is that still something you do? Because I mean, you have I've not participated in any, but you have these Xerox user group events where you basically share a lot of industry knowledge and inspiration for how to utilize both the technology but also the opportunities. How do you see Xerox in that relation?
Well, I think there's sort of two different questions there. So one, yes, we still do have the Xerox Premier Partner program, which is which is running incredibly strong, and that's almost like a think tank, if you will, of people coming together. And we use the Xerox ecosystem as a means to facilitate that group. But really, that's a thought leadership group where they share on everything that they do in their business globally, and lean on one another. And we're obviously in a privileged spot where we can support that group and continue to grow it. Now, to your question around some of those business development resources that you talked about, those would be the business booster programs that we had, back in early 2000s when digital we had to find a footing, and I think that's what we did. But I think what you'll find now is before it was like it almost came across like it was a project, whereas now is in the DNA of what we do. It's everything that we put out there is intended to be translated into an application customers can use, and we certainly we put out things. You heard me mention the Genesis initiative. In there, there's things that you can do. There's tools in there that customers can use on how should I price and what kind of profit should I build into this particular job. So yeah, those reasons are still in what we do, but again, it's more the way we work versus kind of project based like it used to be. Yeah.
Fantastic. Innovation Days. What are you bringing to the show, and what can customers expect from Xerox?
Yeah, so I think the obviously Hunkeler Innovation Days has evolved over the years. It's I like Hunkeler because it doesn't feel like a trade show. It feels more like a user group, right? Of people that are manufacturing something, but they want to do it for better, cheaper, and faster. And let's get together and talk about how we can do that. So I love the feel of the event. So Xerox will be at the show. We will be demonstrating the Baltoro high fusion production inkjet press, which is a cut sheet, our cut sheet product now. It's we've really doubled down our investments in the cut sheet inkjet space. We will be showing Hunkeler finishing. Obviously, we're coming there with not just that product. We're coming with what we call the Better Together strategy, which is our lead play there is obviously the Baltoro press. In there, this will be better together with the Iridesce production press, built up with showing embellishments. So if we'll be printing on inkjet, we'll be doing covers on Iridesce, we'll be showing off different hybrid applications. Again, using that better together strategy, because we do have that wide portfolio, you can lean on it to offer your customers more, right? Because we've got the widest portfolio in the production space. So we'll have that Baltoro with better together with Iridesce. And of course, in there, we talk about this ecosystem, right? You'll hear me say that. And when you think of ecosystem, you always think of one word, balance, right? So with balance, we will have production pre-press workflow. We will have marketing automation with XMPie. But we're also changing it up a little bit with, we're going to be showing some new stuff with workflow that I personally think is, transcends anything that we do today. It's going to be really exciting. But also we're going to be changing up, showing user experiences with things like CareAR, which is our augmented reality for help solving for break-fix issues on press.
Because
Go ahead.
Yeah, because CareAR was basically the spin-up where you have the XMPie and some of the software is basically put into its own company, right?
Correct. Yeah, exactly. So there's XMPie as part of CareAR now. Obviously, it's still part of the Xerox, overarching production ecosystem, but yeah, we did put them in that workflow, arm of the business. But we're, very much still part of the Xerox parent company. We work together, and but the CareAR is going to be really good because it's not, hey, on the phone with a customer of tell me what you see. It's show me what you see. That's why I think things like AI and augmented reality really do play such a big role in what the future of customer experiences will look like.
I also would say you did some, during the pandemic, you did some virtual events. And what I hear from people was they were simply the best in the industry because you really embraced the technology to an extent that you maybe not so many others did, because, to have a Zoom meeting is relatively simple, but to orchestra what you did with different rooms and different locations in a virtual space and how you did that. I just heard from different people that this was awesome. I think that one of the people that was most excited about it was Deborah Corner, and she told me so many things about this is the way to do it, basically, right? So congratulations on that.
No, that was good because we had it.
So I mean,
go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was just thinking that when you talk about embracing AI, embracing how we can utilize the new technologies, having a virtual trade show was just an arm of living it, right?
It was. I mean, it was a Drupa year of 2020, right? And we had planned a bunch of product launches, and it was canceled. And you had to figure, okay, how do I creatively? And that was a big launch year for us, was 2020, right? We brought in a bunch of stuff, and we had to get creative ways of making that experience somehow tangible in times, so it was interesting. Now, I will say we're certainly happy to get back to doing in-person events, though. It's exciting.
Me too.
Yeah.
Me too. That's fantastic. And with that said, Andrew, I think it's been really wonderful talking to you, and I look very much forward to see you and the Xerox team at the Hunkeler Innovationdays in Lucerne in just 19 days from now. So it's about to starting the washing machine and get your suitcase packed and everything ready for a fantastic show in Switzerland, right? Yeah,
Lauren, thank you so much for having me on your platform today. It's been a real honor, and I can't wait to greet you in person and show you around the Xerox booth.
I look forward to that. Thank you, Andrew.
Thank you, sir.